Okay, so we're going to take a look at transformations of your logarithmic functions. We like transformations. We know how these work, so we can apply prior knowledge of transformations of functions to log functions. It all works the same way, which is pretty great. So we're going to graph the function, and then what we're going to just focus on is how do the asymptote and x-intercept of the given function compare to those of the parent function. But first, let's figure out the graph of our transformed function. So the first thing you want to do is identify the transformations. We can identify those just by looking at the function. We have g of x equals log base 2 of x, and then we've got a plus 3 in the parentheses with the x. So that is going to be a translation of your x values. It's going to be a horizontal translation. And then tricky x, we're going to go a horizontal translation to the left 3 units. Okay, so there's our transformation. So let's identify our parent function. The parent function is going to be without that plus 3. So it's just f of x equals log base 2 of just an x. We can graph the parent function and then translate those points. We'll do our shifting. So to graph the parent function, just remember it's easier to do in exponential form. So let's put it in exponent form. Our base is 2 to the y power, that's our f of x, is equal to x. That actually is this graph we just did in our last video. But again, you could quickly come up with some points. It's easier to pick y values, 2 raised to some values, get back your x, and then pair that together as ordered pairs. But if we just plot the points we had on our last graph, let me move this over. There we go. So the points we had from our last video, let's see, we had a fourth, -2. We had a half for the x and a -1 for the y. We had a 1, 0, that was our x-intercept. We had a 2, 1, and then a 4, 2. So that is the parent function. Now the g of x function has a translation of this. We're just going to shift every point to the left 3 units. I do think it's easier to start with your asymptote. The asymptote of the parent function is the vertical line at x equals 0. Well, that's going to shift to the left 3 points, and we want to draw that in. That just helps guide our graphing. So there's our shifted asymptote. Now it is at x equals -3. And now every point is going to shift to the left 3 units. So just go ahead and move each point to the left 3. And then we have our translated, oops, I missed those points. Let me try that again. That's better. And there's our function with the translation. So how do the asymptote and x-intercept of the given function, the red one that I just drew in, compare to those of the parent function? Well, the asymptote is, we just wrote it over there, is x equals 3. And then the x-intercept changed because it got shifted to the left 3 units is, let's see, -2, 0. So both the asymptote and the x-intercept, they both translated to the left 3 units. So what you'll find is that if you have a horizontal translation, your asymptote just moves right along with it, and your x-intercept will shift that same amount. So horizontal translations, you can expect the asymptote and the x-intercept to have the exact same change.